Hey everybody, this is Lorelia. Believe I am live, and I am doing a video regarding an article that I read. It came out maybe about a week ago, and it really talked about um, home ownership, African Americans, unemployment, and incarceration. And I want to give a different spin on what I've seen widely discussed regarding this topic. And really it has to do with knowledge. And the reason why this came up is that recently I showed you I didn't do a YouTube live, but I uploaded a video where I explained that in the weekly class that I do, I shared with individuals, a client of mine that I work one on one with, how she is leveraging, her credit um, to become a real estate investor. And so when I saw this, this article, um, it gives a very oh woe is me type of um vibe to is it even possible, to become a homeowner or acquire real estate when the statistics are what they are. And that's why I said, my purpose is not to do this video to debate what the statistics are. There may be, um, some truth to it, you know, um, but wanted to give a different spin because I want to share with you my experience and why, to me, I think knowledge is so necessary and why we live in the time and place where there's so much information out there, but unfortunately, many of us do not seek information and knowledge as sexy. It's not sexy. And so um, I have an upcoming class that I'm going to be doing um, about, how you can do some of the things that I discussed in that class in terms of leveraging your credit to really do some real things in terms of buying a home. Because many of the people that come to me, that's their main goal. Now that I've said that I want to go into a different direction and what information I share with people, those are the individuals who are seeking me out, or those who want to become homeowners, those who don't want to just use their credit, personal credit, as consumption to consume things. And so, with knowing that and with seeing that, like I said, I want to share a story and why when you are armed with information and knowledge, because a student who decided to continue being in the class, um, when her and I had our private consultation last week, that is something that we talked about, the benefits of having knowledge and information and how to be able to utilize it to your personal benefit where you're no longer under the mercy of what somebody is telling you, the same way I do with the credit. Yes, you can hire somebody to help you. Yes, there are people who do hire me to help them. But one thing about myself, and this is not to knock what other people do, um, but when you decide to invest in yourself, when you decide, and investing can be your time to learn a subject, is not always monetary, because when people hear the word investing, especially depending on where they are in terms of their financial and monetary thermostat. What does that mean? That means, your feelings about money. Like a person who is uptight about money, a person who gets angry when you discuss, the topic about money, a person who gets uneasy about money, they're going to get offended when you use the word invest. And so let me be clear, investing comes in different forms. It can be you paying money or you paying time. And so that's why I said that even if you decide to do anything in life for free, there's a time commitment to it. When you add money to it, it speeds up the process because now you're able to leverage somebody else knowledge and expertise to help you along the way, to lead you along the way. But when you decide to just do free, the process is going to take longer, but there's still an investment. It's the investment of your time. But see, so many people don't think their time is worth anything that they don't see it as an investment. And so I know you may be feeling like I got away from what I originally wanted to talk about, but when I had that conversation with that client and we talked about the importance of knowledge and understanding how to even and I don't want to say get into the game, but how to even take part of the real estate endeavor. Years ago, early 2000s, so we're talking 2001 or maybe 2002. My husband at that time, him and I were just dating. And I want to share this, and I'm going to get somewhere, but I want to share this story with you. And even though I was on my journey of understanding how credit works or what have you, I still didn't know the power of credit. And so my husband, who owned a condo, had some equity in it. And looking back then, we didn't know the power of equity. So and I'm going to finish the story. So we had to succumb to what somebody was telling us. But let me finish the story. So we wanted to become real estate investors, and we wanted to get a loan. So we went to go see a loan officer. Now, that's a whole nother conversation. The advantages of going to a bank versus going to a loan officer. So let me just say we went to a loan officer who had a loan office. And when the person looked at our credit, remind you, we didn't know the power of credit scores or what have you. We knew that it played a part in the process because my husband had bought a home, but not really knowing, because still some people still don't know the power of what it can do financially for yourself. That's why I said some people really don't know the power of what credit can do. And so when they ran our credit, this was the scenario they gave us. They said, oh, you have a few things on your credit report. So what we suggest is that we refinance the condo, pull some equity out, pay those debts, and then once those debts are paid off, then we'll wait a few months, and then you can begin to look for investment properties that you want to invest in, and then all the debt will be paid off. Now, for a person who doesn't really understand how this game works, that may sound real good. Oh, well, they're telling you, to pay off debts. When I look back at what they were telling us to pay off, it was minimal. I mean, literally minimum. And so we didn't go forward with it. But what we learned in that whole process was that since we were not armed with knowledge, since we were not armed with understanding the power of equity in your home or what have you, we didn't do anything because what they were saying didn't sound right. But let me share with you that years later, of course, I'm glad we didn't go through with that. But what I found out was that really the loan officer wanted to double dip because if we were good enough to qualify for a refinance to pull equity out to pay debts, why would we do that? Then we were financially sound, credit sound to put that money in investment properties. And see, when you're not armed with knowledge, you get really caught up into the statistics that are in this article. You get caught up in the, oh, woe is me. Are there people that are being affected by the statistics and everything that this article may talk about? Of course. But if you are really concerned about your well-being, your family's well-being, and how to get out of it, that's where knowledge comes in. Because going back to the story, if we were credit sound enough to get refinanced to refinance to pull equity out, then we were credit sound to be able to move forward with a property, an investment property. So really, after years later, of me understanding how this credit industry works, how the real estate works, or whatever, found out that really the loan officer wanted to double dip. He wanted to get paid on the refinance, and then he wanted to get paid on us acquiring. And that's why, you know, understanding, which is, the class that I'm currently doing, that I'm currently launching now, gives you the personal finance and the financial literacy side of buying a home. Because see, what happens is that most people, and I'll share this one tip, when they are looking forward to buying a house, they are at the mercy of what somebody is telling them what they can afford. As opposed to the client of mine, um, yes, the loan office, I mean the bank that she's dealing with gave her an amount of money that she qualifies before, but before she even got to that point, she had already knew um how much she wanted to spend. That's what her and I worked on. And that's the part that people don't do. And when you don't arm yourself with knowledge and understanding or what have you, you are under the mercy of what somebody is telling you you can afford. What somebody is telling you if you can even get into the game, if you can even take part in the game. If you can even break outside of the mold that this article is saying. You're under, you know, you're at the mercy of that. Whereas when, because see, the thing is that knowledge and information ain't sexy. Ain't nothing sexy about, especially now that we live in the times where it's microwavable, where somebody is saying, hey, I can give you a magic letter. I can sprinkle some fairy dust and take you from a 400 credit score to an 800 credit score. So nobody is interested in knowledge and expertise. And it's sad because what happens is that you begin to live in a constant struggle of being a victim. And that's why, you know, um, I will always preach this, that you can't go wrong with that. It's not sexy, it's not glamorous, but the one thing it can afford you is to not go for the okie doke. That's it. You will not go for the okie doke, because that's what could have happened to me in the story that I shared about what the loan officer wanted to do. He wanted to get paid for us to refinance, to pull some equity out, to pay some bogus debts that were on a credit report. And then eventually he wanted to get paid on us financing investment properties. He wanted to double dip. So imagine you being armed with information and how to really leverage your financial situation, your credit situation, to make to make whatever circumstance you're dealing with better. Because unfortunately, um, when you don't, when you do not know, you do fall under the mercy of what people are saying. So that is all that I have. Like I said, you know, you can break out of the mold. You can do something opposite than what this article is stating here. Like I said, my point is not to argue the facts of this argument. I mean, of what's in this article. But the one thing I can say is that you can break outside of that mold. Even if, and really I wanted to do that, but I didn't get a chance to. But I'm actually going to show you, uh, if I can. They asked, well, Aurelia, how could someone like myself, um, enter in the, enter in the real estate arena if, I can't get this thing, if everything seems so dim and, and sad, and there's no progress, for me. And 10 years ago in 2008, you know, like I said, I did some remarkable things. Yes, I am going to pat myself on the back with a 600, mid 600 credit score. And I didn't even have to use my own credit. But what I'm going to show you is because um, documentation beats conversation. Right here, if you can see, because everything is here. This was one of the many deals that I had did when I back in when I was new to real estate, and this was in '08. So if you can see, it's right here. It's public information here in New Jersey, September 8th, 2008. I think it was about my second and third deal in real estate. And I actually bought the property from Washington Mutual Bank. And here is me. This is the property address, 882 South 17th Street. That was the property that I bought from them. And if you can see seller, then I sold it a month later, pretty much, to an investor. And so this right here is an example of If you want to break out of the mold of what the article said, you're going to have to get access to information. And so that is what I did. Because once again, being under the mercy of what people telling you, people were telling me that in order for me to even take part or engage into the place of real estate, I had to have a 700 plus credit score and yada yada this and yada yada that. And then I got armed with some information where I can you know and you can't really do this now because there's seasoning rules, but this was because after the whole the bank crashes in 2000, I think after this, about 2008, 2009, a lot of things change. But basically, to give you an idea of what I did, because as you can see, Washington Mutual Bank that no longer exists did exist back then. But what I did was I used to purchase properties from the banks, and then I would resell them to investors. And that did not take me using any of my credit or my cash. And so that is what I did. So the and I used to deal with not um unsophisticated people. And what do I mean by that? These people were investors. So there was no, oh, I'm trying to get over or get over on you or what have you. These were people who understood, how the real estate, game worked. And so this is going back to 2008. So that's why I always say anything I talk about is stuff that I've experienced, not something that I'm rehashing. So this was back in 2008. You can't really do that now. Now there's seasoning rules. You got to hold on to the property or what have you before you can resell. But at that time, I can immediately buy from the bank, and then I would do what's called the double close, and I would resell to an investor. And so with this particular property, I held on to it for about a month, and then I sold it. So there you go. And if you see, the property actually went through a few hands. 2008 is when I bought it, resold it a month later. That investor held on to it for 2 years, sold it in 2010. That person in 2010 held on it for 4 years, sold it to a person. Then that person had it in 2014, and it went to foreclosure. And then someone recently bought it um, in last year of August for $121,000. So right then, there's the power of inflation, because pretty much 9 years ago, same property I was able to buy from the bank for 68. That same property 9 years later sold once again from the bank again, for 121,000. So there you have it, inflation. And what's the one thing that can hedge against inflation is real estate. And so I can go on and on about the power of information, the power of knowledge. And so it saddens me when people think they don't need it. And what happens is you fall under the mercy of whatever somebody is telling you. And so there you have it. The proof is in the pudding. And if you're interested in being part of the class, if you're interested in what I'm currently doing, you need to be on my email communication list. And what you will see there is information. You'll see a video. You do have to opt in. And you do have to opt in, and you'll be on my email communication list. And from there, I'll share with you these Monday night classes. So once again, this is Lorelia. I am signing off, and look forward to talking to you in the next video.